I took so many pictures during my trip to Europe. I believe that photographs are the best souvenirs anyone can bring back. I decided to create a digital photo book for my amazing group leader, Greg Wickham. He has a family that didn't get to come on this trip, so I wanted him to have something to share with his children that they may hopefully get to do someday. The cover was a toss-up between Mr. Wickham's two favorite views, which also happen to easily be my favorite views too, so I included them both: the mountains of Switzerland and the waterfalls of Lake Plavice. Italy. My great-grandpa Salvatore Cataldo Celeste actually immigrated from Italy to the U.S. through New York, Ellis Island, when he was just 5 years old. Italian runs thick through my blood. After an 8-hour flight from the United States, we arrived to Rome and walked thousands of steps to the capital of Italy, captivated by so many archaeological treasures. We enjoyed our time in Piazza di Spagna, climbed the Spanish Steps, and tossed a coin into the Trevi Fountain. Legend says if you throw a coin into the Trevi Fountain with your right hand over your left shoulder and with your back to the fountain, this will ensure a return to Rome. We entered the Rome Pantheon and were amazed at this huge, beautiful temple inside, assumed to have been built around 113 AD. The Pantheon still holds the world's largest concrete dome, and its architecture has been copied many times. My Italian taste buds were pleased with my choice of spaghetti for lunch, pizza for dinner, and gelato for dessert. We explored the ancient Roman Forum, once in the heart of Roman Empire. These impressive structures remain standing so many years later. We found Julius Caesar's gravesite, which marked the ruins of the Temple of Caesar. The most impressive structure was the Colosseum. I couldn't believe that I was standing inside this massive stone and concrete amphitheater, built around 70 AD, where 50,000 Roman spectators watched 100 days of games, including gladiator combats, hunts, wild animal fights, and mock naval activities. We walked through St. Peter's Basilica in Vatican City, amused by the colorful guard, and gazed at all of the architecture and art in the Vatican Museum. Magical statues guided us through exquisite hallways until we reached the entrance of the Sistine Chapel. Our jaws dropped and our eyes were glued to the masterpiece on this entire ceiling, which took Michelangelo 4 years to paint. We enjoyed an incredible Italian ravioli dinner as we relaxed by the live evening entertainment in Piazza Navona. Our group traveled to the hidden gem called Croatia. The stunning views of Dubrovnik made me feel like I wanted to move there. We walked the entire length of the surrounding ancient city walls and enjoyed scenery from fortresses and towers overlooking the Adriatic Sea. This adorable stony city is where the Game of Thrones is filmed, so we attempted the Walk of Shame down the famous stairs. Croatia is known for its amazing swimming beaches, but watch out for all the sea urchins. As we traveled to our next city in Croatia, we actually briefly drove through Bosnia, adding another country to our list. We stopped by the cutest roadside fresh market stand I've ever seen in my life. I'm glad we listened to the locals and bought a delicious blood orange and also some candied orange peels. We arrived in Split, where our tour guide Mirna Gudic grew up. We walked through Diocletian's palace and talked with the nicest local people. Mirna hooked us up with an absolute best homemade fish or chicken dinner from a tiny local restaurant at the end of the secret flowered path. Then Mirna surprised us with another amazing secret that I had never heard of: Zadar's sea organ. This architectural sound art plays music by the way of the sea's waves, passing through tubes under the large marble steps. I won't ever forget this place. We arrived at Lake Plavice, but we had no idea of the Earth's natural wonders we were about to witness. We stood on the bridge overlooking one of the most beautiful sights I've ever observed in my entire life. Pictures just don't do it justice. You simply have to be there. We walked around pristine teal lakes, across rickety bridges alongside the misty spray of majestic waterfalls, and hiked through nature trails for miles. We entered the Postinu caves in Slovenia and rode a train under monstrous hanging stalactites and around upwards growing stalagmites. We traveled by boat to Venice and immediately fell in love with the sights of St. Mark's Basilica and Doge's Palace. The golden mosaics illuminate the massive cathedral's interior. It was so fun to watch an Italian hand-blow glass demonstrate of a dancing unicorn, and we were easily sold on purchasing Italian glass earrings. Of course, we had to find the famous gelato. I could hardly wait for the super fun gondola ride through the canals of Venice. Heading to our next destination, our bus driver mistakenly took our oversized Grand Tour bus along forbidden single-lane windy roads through Milan and Bellagio. It was scary at times, but we loved every second of that thrill ride. Bellagio is such a beautiful city with cute little shops and gorgeous flowers. The mountains are calling. There were no words to describe the pure beauty of our drive through Lattenbrunnen Valley in Switzerland. We climbed so many steps up through tunnels and were astonished by Trumbullback Falls as it boasted powerful water crashing down the inside of the mountain. When we arrived in Mürren, it was as perfect as a postcard. The spectacular Swiss Alps surrounded the adorable town, and I started to think of moving here instead. We rode a gondola all the way up to the top of Mount Schildhorn, which was where the James Bond helipad was built and used in the movie filming. I was on top of the world as I looked at the dreamlike panoramic view. This is another place where a picture just doesn't capture reality. We arrived in France and watched Myrna win an argument against the subway ticket guard. Transportation in Europe is not as easy. We've witnessed several attempts of pickpocketers on our way to Paris. Just weeks before we left for Europe, the news reported a devastating fire at the Notre Dame Cathedral. We were glued to the TV, holding on to hope that the cathedral would fight back and stand tall. Although a majority of the roof and spire suffered extensive damage, the interior was saved by its stone-vaulted ceiling. Although we saw the damage, the entire front side with its two strong towers stood tall and remained untouched. We enjoyed French cuisine with a local meat and potato salad, legendary French fries, and several flavored macaroons. We were determined to find the best crepes in all of Paris. As we strolled down the streets of Paris, we saw famous stores such as Versace and Louis Vuitton. We also got ourselves up close to very large peaceful protests against taxes. Our last night in Europe couldn't have ended any more perfect. A lighted Eiffel Tower and several pictures made this trip an experience I will treasure forever. Thank you for a trip of a lifetime.